All right, that's a 400 grit finish right there. That's actually a pretty nice finish. So now, let me show you. Go ahead and throw this in there. Noise alert, maybe a little noisy. See you in about 1 hour. That's what it is. Okay, here's my original pattern, and I've already altered the original pattern just slightly, and I realized that I kind of screwed it up, and I don't like this plywood here. It's too thick. And originally I was going to have this little squared off thing on the back just for a little added flair, but then I've never made one with that on the back because there are no square areas on this knife and it just doesn't look right. So I made a new pattern, and the back end, like I say, there's no square areas on this knife, so it just doesn't look right having a square blunt end. So I rounded the end. I've made this little hump here a little higher than there, and I've made this a little narrower here and a little rounder here. And I'll tell you, it feels pretty good in the hand. Can't close my fingers on it, but well, I don't want to keep putting my ugly fingers in the. It feels pretty good in the hand. You know, that hump just feels just right. So I'm gonna go with that. I like it. I like it better than I like this. There's nothing wrong with that. But over time, you know, in your mind, you look at these things over and over and you think to yourself, what would look nicer? How could I make that nicer? And I think this is nicer. Okay, so my next sharp fingers will have this style. It's not a huge departure from this. The only real noticeable thing is I've rounded this off more. The waist is a little narrower, and the butt is going to have a rounded butt instead of a squared butt. Okay, let me go. It's been about half an hour, so I think I'm going to go peek in at that sharp finger that's being tumbled right now. Okay, it's been about a half an hour, and I don't see any difference, to be honest. I see no difference at all. So I would give it a couple of hours, and if it just doesn't do it, I'll just put like maybe a 600 satin finish on it and get to work putting that handle on. Okay, that was weird. I just went and looked at the very first clip I did, which you won't see because somehow it got kicked into slow motion, and a clip that was about a minute long was like 7 or 8 minutes long, and super slow-mo, because that was pretty funny. So I'll just tell you, I heat treated and tempered the knife Thursday afternoon before I went home. I put it in the tempering oven, and I noticed that there was just ever so slightly a warp in the blade, so I tempered it in my straightening jig overnight, and I came out this morning and put my straight edge on it, and it was perfect. So, and that's all I showed you, but like I said, somehow it got knocked into slow-mo, and it would have taken you a year to watch that clip, so I deleted it. Now I'm going to take my brand new, did I ever hang it up? I did. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I'm going to put some Dicom on this, and I'm going to cut 3 of the new sharp fingers out and cut one out and see what they look like, just in the steel. And since I'm going to scribe 3 of them, I'll go ahead and cut 3 out and just have them up here. It's kind of nice having them cut out and drilled and ready, you know, because that's half the day right there, is getting them cut out and getting them cleaned up and you know, shaped, and then the pinholes marked and drilled and then flared, and it's just nice having them. So if somebody orders one, you know, it takes me a half a day to get the bevels ground and half a day to get the bevels sanded out, and then another day to get it up to polishing level. So the one that I'm working on now that I just threw in the tumbler, the one that's in the tumbler, I did that. I got it. It was already cut, sitting here. It was the last one that I had already cut out and ready. So I got the bevels ground and the grind line sanded off, all in about 3.5 hours. Sanded up to 400. So I did pretty good yesterday. And you know, I could go a couple more grits and excuse me, a couple more grits and buff it out, but I'm gonna make it a satiny finish and put those on it, and this knife will be using knife. And the other day, maybe I didn't mention, I don't know, it's kind of personal, and maybe this is more than anybody wants to know, but I got these cheap $1.50 bags on, and this is what happens. They fill up with gas. See, this is supposed to be a charcoal filter right here, and all of us, we all have gas throughout the day. It just part of being human, part of eating, digesting, and part of being human. So the gas, since it doesn't come out the regular way anymore, comes out this way into the bag, and it fills up the bag. These cheap bags won't let the gas out. So now I got to take a pin and pop 1 or 2 little holes up here, so over time the gas will come out. Otherwise, I got what I got now. It's this huge lump in my shirt. And okay, back to work, everybody. All right, new and improved sharp fingers. Kind of like it. Still, I don't have any machine that will get up in here. The radius, I was trying to get it to match the radius of this, and then this is just too big of a swoop, so I tried getting it to match the radius of this, and same thing, it's just too big. So I had to use my die grinder to get in here, which not a big problem. It's just one of them things that takes a little more time to do. But the back end, I had a little bit more pronounced of a convex, but I took a little bit of the height off of it, and I think it looks better. Just a slight round to it is really what looks best. Okay, so what do you think? Here's the other side. And I did all 3 of these together. I clamped them together with vice grips, and even the holes all match. Okay, let me go get the, it's been plenty long enough where if the tumbler, the aluminum oxide, was going to make any difference, it would have by now. So let me go get that out of there and see what we got. Nope, not a bit. So I'm going to put a 600 grit satin finish on this. It'll look nice. And get these handles on. I've got the handles right here. That's what I'm going to use. I'll probably use brass pins. because this is going to be a usable knife. Oh, here's the difference. So I'll set this on here. Handle's just a skosh longer. This radius is just less sharp. And this comes down a little bit deeper than this. Well, actually I have to do it the other way. It's actually quite a difference. I do like the new one. I like the old one. But the new one's a bit more swoopier, and I think that just lends itself back here to all the swoops and curves up here. So, alrighty. Let me, I'll show you what kind of finish I got on this before I put the handles on, because there's really not much I can do after that except wait. I think I'll go ahead and get these, maybe I'll grind some bevels on them, just get them ready if people want them, you know. Because I got to do something out here. Otherwise, I'll have to go work outside. And I don't want to put fence up yet. It's just too freaking hot. I do have 2 air conditioners I got to put, but still I got to stand outside and measure and cut and saw and paint. And I just don't have it in me. I got to wait till it comes down to, you know, into the 90s. I can be out there in the 90s, but over 100 and it's just too much. All right, there we go. Fix to drill the holes, get the handles ready, and we'll have these epoxied on here in about 30 minutes. Well, I was going to go ahead and grind the bevels on these, but I still am having trouble dragging my, this is my bevel grinding jig of my own design, by the way, in case you've never seen it. And it's still catching. This is aluminum. These are stainless. I don't think that I think they're flush. I mean, I put my straight edge on it. I just can't, there's nothing here that should be catching on the table. And yet the table, you move it, and then it catches, and so you put a little more pressure on it and it moves quick past the catch. This is aluminum. The table is some very hard steel. Maybe, I just don't know. I've got some G10. I'm thinking about putting some G10 on the bottom of this and seeing if that'll make a difference. I haven't decided yet. I got to think about this a little bit. But it's getting worse. Maybe I could glue some Teflon on the bottom of this. And then here's what's happening. It's catching, and you can see all these little scratches where it's catching. I just don't get it. And there's nothing sticking out the bottom. There's nothing that should be catching. I've just went and sanded the hell out of the bottom of that. Now I'm going to come back and sand the hell out of this again. It's got to be smooth, because when it catches, it puts a divot in the knife, and it just makes it really, really hard to make a nice bevel. So I got to address this now before I do any more, before I grind any more bevels. I'll figure something out. But what I may do is just lay this down there and put the grinding jig on top of it and just see if it will slide back and forth easier. G10 is some very, very hard stuff. I would say the G10 is harder than aluminum. I think I'll try that. There's one there, and there's one just in the woods there. And they are not the least bit worried about us. And then there's kitty. There's the kitty. Hello. Good morning. All right, I got your groceries right here. I'm going in.